Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking you on a tour of some of the biggest stadiums in English football. But we're doing this differently. We're going from the smallest to the largest, building up to the absolute giant at the end. These aren't just concrete and steel, they're cathedrals of the game, each with its own story, its own soul, and its own place in football history. So buckle up as we count up from number 20 all the way to number 1. Let's dive in. Starting at number 20, we have the Vitality Stadium, home to AFC Bournemouth, with a capacity of 11,307. The Vitality Stadium is located in the coastal town of Bournemouth on the south coast of England. It has been the Cherries' home since 1910, making it one of the older grounds still in use today. The stadium is compact and cozy, with all four stands relatively close to the pitch, creating an intimate match-day atmosphere. Here is something remarkable about this ground. When Bournemouth were promoted to the Premier League in 2015, the Vitality Stadium became the smallest ground in Premier League history. Despite its size, Bournemouth managed to not only survive but thrive in the top flight for several seasons, proving that you do not need a massive stadium to compete with the big boys. The stadium was originally called Dean Court before being renamed for sponsorship reasons. Here is a unique fact: during World War II, the ground was used as a military depot, and parts of it were damaged during bombing raids. The South End is where Bournemouth's most passionate supporters gather, and despite the ground's compact size, they create a fantastic atmosphere. The club has plans to potentially build a new stadium with a larger capacity, but for now, the Vitality Stadium remains a proper, traditional English football ground with character and charm. At number 19, we have the Etihad Community Stadium, Brentford's home, with a capacity of 17,250. The Etihad Community Stadium is the newest ground on our list, having opened in 2020 when Brentford left their beloved Griffin Park after 116 years. Located in Hounslow, West London, this compact, modern stadium represents Brentford's ambition and their remarkable rise to the Premier League. Here's what makes this stadium unique. It's one of the smallest grounds in Premier League history, but it's perfectly designed. The stadium has just 4 stands, all roughly the same height, creating an enclosed, intimate atmosphere where fans are close to the pitch. Away fans are given 1,800 seats in one corner, which is actually a relatively generous allocation for such a small ground. The stadium is also community-focused, hence the name, with facilities open to local residents, not just match-day crowds. There's a gym, space for community events, and even a rooftop restaurant. But here's the cleverest part. The stadium is built on the site of an old industrial estate, and Brentford worked with the local council to create a multi-use space that benefits the entire community. Here's a quirky detail. At Griffin Park, Brentford's old ground, there was a pub on every corner of the stadium, a unique feature. While the new stadium doesn't have that, there's a pub called the Griffin built into the ground to honor that tradition. Despite its size, the Etihad has already witnessed some incredible moments, including Brentford's first ever Premier League match and victories against the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool. Moving up to number 18, we have Turf Moor, Burnley FC's historic home, with a capacity of 21,994. Turf Moor is one of the oldest continuously used football stadiums in the world. Burnley have played here since 1883. That's over 140 years of football history. Located in the heart of Burnley, Lancashire, it's a traditional English football ground with character oozing from every stand. Here's something remarkable. Turf Moor hosted its first FA Cup match in 1885, and it was actually the venue for an FA Cup semi-final replay way back in 1889. The stadium has seen everything, from Burnley's glory days as English champions in 1921 and 1960 to their struggles in the lower leagues, to their recent yo-yo years between the Premier League and Championship. The James Hargreaves stand is particularly distinctive with its bright red seats spelling out Burnley FC. But here's a fascinating story. During World War I, Turf Moor was used for military training drills and storage. The pitch was even requisitioned for growing vegetables as part of the war effort. The stadium has also been home to some incredible achievements despite Burnley being a small town. They've competed in European football and regularly punched above their weight. The cricket field stand is named because there was literally a cricket ground next door, though that's long gone now. Turf Moor might be one of the smaller grounds on our list, but its history, character, and the passionate support make it a proper football ground. At number 17, we have Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace's home, with a capacity of 25,486. Selhurst Park might not be the biggest or the most modern, but it's one of the most atmospheric grounds in England. Located in Croydon, South London, it's been Palace's home since 1924. The Holmesdale Road stand is where Palace's Palace's famous ultras, known as the Holmesdale Fanatics, create an incredible pre-match atmosphere with flags, banners, and choreographed displays. Here's what makes Selhurst Park special. Despite being one of the smaller grounds on our list, the atmosphere here can be absolutely electric. The Holmesdale Road stand is right behind one goal, and when Palace fans are bouncing and singing "Glad" all over, it's genuinely one of the most intimidating experiences for opposition teams. There's a reason big clubs struggle at Selhurst Park. But here's an interesting historical tidbit. Selhurst Park hasn't always been Palace's ground alone. During World War II, it was shared with Charlton Athletic after their ground was bombed. And in the 1980s, Wimbledon FC played their home games at Selhurst Park after leaving Plough Lane, sharing the ground with Palace for over a decade. The stadium also has an unusual feature. The main stand and Arthurwaite stand don't run the full length of the pitch, creating unusual corner spaces. Palace have long had plans to redevelop Selhurst Park, potentially increasing capacity to around 34,000. The stadium might be small and aging, but its character and atmosphere make it one of English football's hidden gems. Number 16 brings us to one of football's most charming venues, Craven Cottage, home to Fulham FC, with a capacity of 29,589. Craven Cottage is utterly unique. Located right on the banks of the River Thames in southwest London, it's surrounded by trees and has a genuinely quaint, almost village-like feel despite being in one of the world's biggest cities. It's been Fulham's home since 1896, making it one of the oldest grounds still in use. Here's what makes Craven Cottage truly special. It's the only Premier League stadium with a Grade II listed building on site. The cottage itself, a white pavilion dating back to 1905, sits in the corner of the ground and houses the club's facilities, dressing rooms, and even a gym. It's called the Cottage because there was literally a cottage on the site in the 19th century. Another distinctive feature is the Johnny Haynes stand, which has a neutral section where away and home fans sit side by side with no segregation, a rarity in modern football. But perhaps the most iconic feature is the Putney End, which backs directly onto the Thames. On summer evenings, you can watch boats drift past while the match is going on. It's genuinely one of the most picturesque settings in world football. Michael Jackson once famously visited Craven Cottage and loved it so much he wanted to buy the club. The stadium also featured in several films and TV shows because of its unique character. Fulham considered moving to a new stadium several times, but fans fought to stay at Craven Cottage, and thank goodness they did. Football needs grounds with this much soul. Coming in at number 15 is the City Ground, home to Nottingham Forest, with a capacity of 30,404. The City Ground sits on the banks of the River Trent in Nottingham and is one of the most picturesque stadium locations in England. It's been Forest's home since 1898, and it's where they won back-to-back European Cups under Brian Clough in 1979 and 1980, one of the most incredible achievements in football history. Here's something unique. The City Ground is one of the few stadiums in the world that has another professional football ground visible from its stands. If you look across the River Trent from the City Ground, you can see Meadow Lane, home of Notts County. The two grounds are separated by just a few hundred meters, making them the closest professional football stadiums to each other in England, and quite possibly the world. But here's a fascinating story about the stadium itself. The Peter Taylor stand is named after Brian Clough's legendary assistant, and it was only completed in 1994. Before that, Forest had an unusual setup where the Trent end was an open terrace with just a roof and no back wall, meaning you could literally see the river behind it. The City Ground has also hosted England internationals and rugby union matches. Forest have plans to potentially expand or even rebuild the stadium to increase capacity beyond 38,000, which would be fitting for a club with 2 European Cups in their trophy cabinet. When Forest fans are in full voice, especially under the lights for a big European night, the City Ground is absolutely magical. At number 14, we have Molineux Stadium, home of Wolverhampton Wanderers, with a capacity of 31,750. Molineux is one of English football's most historic grounds and one of the most atmospheric on a match day. Located in the heart of Wolverhampton in the Black Country, it's been Wolves' home since 1889, making it one of the oldest continuously used football stadiums in the world. The stadium's 4 stands create a tight, enclosed atmosphere that intimidates visiting teams. Here's something remarkable. Molineux hosted some of the first ever European club matches under floodlights in the 1950s. Wolves played legendary friendlies against top European sides like Hanft, Spartak Moscow, and Real Madrid under Molineux's lights, which were revolutionary at the time. These matches were so popular that they were broadcast on television and captured the imagination of the nation, essentially paving the way for the European Cup, which is now the Champions League. But here's a darker chapter. In the 1980s, Molineux fell into terrible disrepair. The Bradford City fire tragedy in 1985 led to safety regulations that meant Molineux's old stands had to be demolished. At one point, the stadium's capacity dropped dramatically, and there were fears Wolves might have to relocate. But the club rebuilt magnificently, and today's Molineux is a modern stadium that's retained its historic soul. The South Bank is where Wolves' most vocal fans congregate, and when they're singing "Hi-Ho Wolverhampton," it genuinely sends shivers down your spine. Number 13 takes us to the Amex Stadium, Brighton and Hove Albion's home, with a capacity of 31,876. The Amex is one of the most modern and well-designed stadiums in English football. Located on the edge of the South Downs near Falmer, it opened in 2011 and represents an incredible journey for Brighton, who spent years playing at a temporary athletic stadium after losing their previous ground. The Amex's most distinctive feature is its sweeping curved roof and its stunning location with the South Downs as a backdrop. Here's what makes the Amex special. It's one of the most environmentally friendly stadiums in the world. It was built with sustainability in mind, featuring a living sedum roof that absorbs rainwater, solar panels, and a rainwater harvesting system. The stadium also has excellent transport links. There's a dedicated railway station right next to the ground. But here's an emotional story. When Brighton finally moved into the Amex after years of uncertainty, fans wept with joy. They'd spent 12 years sharing Portsmouth's ground and playing at the Withdean Stadium, an athletics venue with temporary stands. The Amex represented not just a new stadium, but the survival and rebirth of the club. The atmosphere inside is fantastic. The North Stand is where the ultras gather, creating color and noise that rivals the biggest clubs. And here's a fun fact. The stadium is powered partly by renewable energy, and there's even a community garden on site where they grow vegetables that are used in the stadium's kitchens. At number 12, we head to Yorkshire for Elland Road, the home of Leeds United, with a capacity of 37,890. Elland Road is a proper fortress. Located in Leeds, West Yorkshire, it's been the home of Leeds United since 1919. The stadium has 4 distinct stands, with the Kop being the heart of the ground, packed with the most passionate Leeds supporters who create an incredible atmosphere. Here's what makes Elland Road legendary. During the Don Revie era in the 1960s and 70s, when Leeds were one of Europe's best teams, Elland Road was genuinely feared. Opposition teams hated playing there because of the hostile atmosphere and Leeds' intimidating style of play. The stadium has hosted England internationals, rugby league matches, and even NFL games. But here's something unique. Elland Road was the first stadium in England to have undersoil heating installed, all the way back in 1959. This meant matches could go ahead even in freezing winter conditions when other grounds were frozen solid. The stadium also has a fascinating quirk. The pitch at Elland Road isn't perfectly flat. It has a slight slope from one corner to another, something players and managers have noticed over the years. Leeds have plans to expand Elland Road to around 55,000 capacity, which would restore it to being one of England's biggest stadiums, just as it was in their glory days. Number 11 brings us to West London for Stamford Bridge, Chelsea's home, with a capacity of 41,631. Stamford Bridge is one of English football's most famous grounds, but it's also one of the most restricted. Located in Fulham, the stadium is hemmed in by residential properties, railway lines, and roads, making expansion almost impossible without a complete rebuild. Despite this, Stamford Bridge has been Chelsea's home since the club's founding in 1905. Here's something most people don't know. Chelsea Football Club was actually founded to occupy Stamford Bridge, not the other way around. The stadium was built first, and when Fulham FC rejected the opportunity to move there, the owner decided to create a new club, Chelsea FC, specifically to use the ground. The famous Shed End, where Chelsea's hardcore supporters gather, used to be a standing terrace and was notorious for its atmosphere in the 70s and 80s. Here's a quirky fact. The stadium once had a running track around the pitch, which was removed in the 1990s to bring fans closer to the action. Chelsea have long had plans to rebuild Stamford Bridge into a 60,000 capacity stadium, but the project has faced numerous delays due to costs, planning permissions, and the complex logistics of rebuilding in such a constrained location. For now, it remains one of the smaller grounds among England's top clubs, but its history and atmosphere make it truly special. Reaching number 10, we visit the Midlands for Villa Park, Aston Villa's historic home, with a capacity of 42,918. Villa Park is one of the grand old stadiums of English football. Located in Birmingham, it's been Villa's home since 1897, making it one of the oldest continuously used stadiums in the world. The Trinity Road stand is particularly iconic, with its distinctive red brick facade that's been a Villa Park landmark for decades. Here's something prestigious. Villa Park has hosted more FA Cup semi-finals than any stadium other than Wembley and the old Millennium Stadium. It's held 55 semi-finals. The stadium has also been used for England internationals and was a venue during Euro '96. But here's a fascinating historical tidbit. Villa Park was bombed during World War II, just like Old Trafford. A German bomb landed near the Trinity Road stand, but thankfully didn't explode. It was safely defused the next day. The stadium also has royal connections. Prince William is a Villa fan and has visited Villa Park several times. The Holte End is where Villa's most passionate supporters gather, and when it's bouncing, it's one of the most intimidating ends in English football. Villa have plans to potentially expand the North Stand, which could take capacity to around 50,000 in the future. At number 9, we have the Stadium of Light, home to Sunderland, with a capacity of 48,707. Despite Sunderland not being in the Premier League right now, their stadium remains one of England's largest. Located on the banks of the River Wear, the Stadium of Light opened in 1997 and replaced Sunderland's historic Roker Park. The name Stadium of Light is a tribute to the Monkwearmouth Colliery, a coal mine that once stood on the site and was known as the light of the community. Here's what makes this stadium special. When Sunderland fans fill this place, it's absolutely deafening. The Black Cats have one of the most loyal fan bases in England, regularly filling the Stadium of Light even in League One. The stadium was actually designed with expansion in mind. There's space to add a second tier to the North Stand, which would take capacity beyond 60,000. Here's a poignant detail. In the northwest corner of the stadium, there's a miner's memorial featuring a Davy lamp, honoring the mining heritage of the area. The stadium has hosted England internationals and was even a venue during Euro '96. And despite their struggles in recent years, Sunderland still regularly get crowds of 40,000 plus, showing the passion of the Wearside faithful. Number 8 takes us to the northeast for St. James Park, Newcastle United's fortress, with a capacity of 52,258. St. James Park isn't just in Newcastle, it's practically built into the city center. The stadium sits on a hill overlooking the Tyne, and its towering stands are visible from miles away. It's one of the most atmospheric grounds in England, with the Gallowgate End and the Leazes End creating walls of black and white on match days. Here's something incredible. St. James Park is so steep that some sections have a gradient of 37 degrees, making it one of the steepest stadiums in England. This means fans are incredibly close to the pitch despite the stadium's size, creating an intimidating cauldron of noise. The stadium has been Newcastle's home since 1892, though it's been rebuilt and expanded several times. Here's a unique fact. The stadium is asymmetrical. The Milburn Stand and the Leazes End don't quite line up with the pitch because of the awkward site it was built on. During World War II, the stadium was used as a military storage depot. And here's something modern fans are excited about. There are plans, now that Newcastle has new wealthy owners, to potentially expand St. James Park to over 60,000 capacity, which would make it one of the biggest in the country. At number 7, we have the Hill Dickinson Stadium, Everton's new home, with a capacity of 52,769. This brand new stadium represents a historic moment for Everton Football Club. Located at Bramley-Moore Dock on Liverpool's waterfront, this state-of-the-art stadium is set to replace Goodison Park, Everton's home since 1892. The stadium sits right on the banks of the River Mersey and will be one of the most spectacular waterfront stadiums in world football. Here is what makes this stadium special. The Hill Dickinson Stadium is being built on the site of a historic Victorian dock, and the design incorporates the heritage of Liverpool's maritime past. The stadium features a stunning brick and steel design that pays tribute to the industrial architecture of the docks while being thoroughly modern inside. The close proximity of the stands to the pitch has been a key focus, ensuring the intimidating atmosphere Everton fans created at Goodison Park will be replicated and enhanced. Here is something fascinating. When completed, it will be the first new stadium built in Liverpool for Everton since they moved to Goodison Park over 130 years ago. Number 6 brings us back to Manchester for the Etihad Stadium, home to Manchester City, with a capacity of 55,097. Originally built for the 2002 Commonwealth Games as the City of Manchester Stadium, it was converted into a football ground when City moved from Main Road in 2003. Located in East Manchester, the Etihad has been at the center of City's transformation from Premier League underdogs to European giants. The stadium's most distinctive feature is its cable stayed roof, supported by 12 tall masts that can be seen across Manchester. Here's what's fascinating. When the stadium was first built for the Commonwealth Games, it had a capacity of 38,000 for athletics. After City moved in, they added a third tier to the stands, expanding it to over 55,000. The club has plans to expand the North Stand further, which would take capacity to around 62,000. But here's a quirky story. During the 2002 Commonwealth Games, the stadium hosted the opening and closing ceremonies, and Paula Radcliffe won gold in the 5,000 meters there. Now, that same venue hosts some of the world's best footballers like Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne. The Etihad is also part of the Etihad campus, which includes City's state-of-the-art training facilities, making it one of the most comprehensive football complexes in the world. Coming in at number 5, we have the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal's home, with a capacity of 60,704. The Emirates opened in 2006, replacing Arsenal's beloved Highbury. Located in Holloway, North London, it's one of the most modern stadiums in England, with sleek architecture and excellent sightlines from every seat. The stadium cost £390 million to build, which was a massive investment but transformed Arsenal into one of the wealthiest clubs in world football. Here's something remarkable. When Arsenal moved from Highbury, they actually kept a piece of history alive. Highbury's famous Art Deco facade was preserved and incorporated into a residential development called Highbury Square, with luxury apartments built on the old pitch. As for the Emirates itself, the stadium was designed with European football in mind. Notice how steep the stands are compared to traditional English stadiums? That's to create a more intense, continental atmosphere. The stadium also has 150 executive boxes and 7,000 premium club seats. Fun fact, the Emirates is the third largest football stadium in London after Wembley and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it's hosted England internationals and Champions League matches. The Clock End and the North Bank are where Arsenal's most vocal supporters gather, continuing traditions from the Highbury days. At number 4, we travel to Anfield, the legendary home of Liverpool FC, with a capacity of 61,276. Anfield sits in the heart of Liverpool and has been the Reds' home since 1892. The stadium is famous for its Kop stand, named after a hill in South Africa where many Liverpudlians fought during the Boer War. The Kop is where Liverpool's most passionate supporters stand, and their rendition of "You'll Never Walk Alone" before matches is genuinely one of the most spine-tingling moments in world football. Here's something special about Anfield. The stadium has a sign above the tunnel that says, "This is Anfield." Bill Shankly, the legendary Liverpool manager, put it there so players would touch it before walking out, reminding them of the club's greatness and intimidating opponents. Many Liverpool players still touch it today as a tradition. Another fascinating detail, Anfield was actually Everton's ground first. Everton played there from 1884 to 1892 before a dispute over rent led them to move to Goodison Park, and Liverpool FC was formed to take their place. The most recent expansion, completed in 2016, added 8,500 seats to the main stand, making it one of the largest all-seater single stands in European football. When Anfield is rocking on a European night, there's truly no atmosphere quite like it in world football. The bronze medal position, number 3, goes to the London Stadium, West Ham United's home, with a capacity of 62,500. Located in Stratford, East London, this stadium was originally built for the 2012 London Olympics and was converted into a football stadium in 2016 when West Ham moved from their historic Bowling Ground. The stadium's distinctive feature is its striking white roof structure that looks like a crown when viewed from above. Here's an interesting fact. The London Stadium is the only Premier League ground that features a running track around the pitch. This was kept from its Olympic legacy, though it's actually been a controversial feature among West Ham fans, as it means supporters sit further from the action than at traditional football stadiums. But here's something really cool. The stadium was designed to be sustainable, with rainwater harvesting systems and energy-efficient lighting. During the Olympics, it hosted Usain Bolt's legendary performances, and now it hosts Premier League football. The stadium can also transform for other events. It's held Major League Baseball games, rugby matches, and massive concerts by artists like the Rolling Stones and Beyoncé. The capacity can actually be reduced to 54,000 for athletics events, making it one of the most versatile stadiums in the world. The silver medal goes to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, home to Spurs, with a capacity of 62,850. This is one of the most technologically advanced stadiums in the world. Opened in 2019, it sits in North London and replaced the beloved White Hart Lane. The stadium features the largest single-tier stand in the UK, the South Stand, which holds 17,500 fans and creates an absolutely electric atmosphere. But here's what makes it truly unique. It has the world's first dividing, retractable football pitch. Yes, you heard that right. Underneath the football pitch is an NFL standard artificial turf field. The grass pitch splits into 3 sections and retracts, revealing the NFL surface below. This allows Tottenham to host NFL games without damaging their pristine football pitch. The transformation takes just 25 minutes. The stadium also has its own microbrewery, the longest beer pour in Europe, called the Goal Line Bar, where they can serve 10,000 pints per minute. That's proper preparation for thirsty football fans. The stadium cost over £1 billion to build, making it one of the most expensive stadiums ever constructed. With state-of-the-art facilities, a stunning design, and that incredible single-tier stand, it's truly a 21st century football cathedral. And finally, taking the crown as number 1 and England's biggest club stadium is Old Trafford, the Theatre of Dreams, home to Manchester United, with a staggering capacity of 74,879 fans. Old Trafford has been United's home since 1910 and remains the largest club football stadium in the UK. Located in Greater Manchester, the stadium dominates the skyline with its 4 massive stands, the most famous being the Stretford End, where the most passionate United fans create an intimidating wall of noise. Here's something fascinating. Old Trafford was actually bombed during World War II in 1941, and the damage was so severe that United had to play their home games at Manchester City's main road for 8 years. The stadium was rebuilt and has been continuously expanded since, with the latest major development being the North Stand expansion in the mid-1990s. The Theatre of Dreams nickname comes from legendary player Bobby Charlton, who gave it that poetic name. Old Trafford has witnessed some of football's greatest moments, from the Busby Babes, to the class of '92, to the treble-winning season of 1999, to countless Premier League titles under Sir Alex Ferguson. The stadium has hosted FA Cup finals, England internationals, Champions League finals, and even rugby league matches and concerts. While Wembley is bigger at 90,000, Old Trafford reigns supreme for club football. There are even plans to potentially expand it beyond 80,000 or even build a brand new 100,000 capacity stadium in the future, which would cement Manchester United's place as having England's premier club ground. And there you have it, our journey from the smallest to the largest stadiums in English football. From Bournemouth's cozy Vitality Stadium all the way up to the mighty Old Trafford with its 74,879 capacity. Each ground tells a story, each has its own character, and together they represent what makes English football so special. What surprised you most? Did you know Tottenham's pitch retracts? Were you amazed by Molyneux's floodlit European nights? Which of these grounds would you most love to visit? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this countdown, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more football content, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!